Good afternoon, guys and gals. My name is Jonathan Martin. I'm the owner and operator of Martin Landscaping. Today I just want to make a quick video to show you how to change the brake bands or the drive belts on a Toro gear drive walk behind. So this is my 2014 Toro Turbo Force 36-inch gear drive T-Bar walk behind. I think that covers everything. Just want to show you how to how to change the brake bands and the drive belts. So the first thing you need to do, obviously, is jack up the machine and take the wheels off. This is a 21 millimeter. You're going to need an extension to reach the lug nuts. I've already broke these loose, but I'm going to take these off. Okay, set your lug nuts to the side, take the wheel off. Okay, so if you are simply changing the belts, I'm going to go over that first. The first thing you need to do is just disconnect the linkage from the backside. This is the one that goes to the bar that moves the brake band. So it's just a cotter pin. Let's see, where am I? Remove the cotter pin, set it to the side. Pull that out. Set the washer to the side. Okay. So now you will need a 14 millimeter socket on a ratchet and another 14 or 9/16 to hold the nut on the back side of these bolts. You have one bolt at the top and 3 at the bottom that have to be removed. So you don't have to take these all the way out. You just have to get them loose enough to slide this belt off. Once you have these 4 bolts loose, you can move this bracket out of the way and then just you should have enough slack where you can slide that belt right off. Okay, slide it around the pulley. Loosen them up quite enough. Okay, and belt is off. Quick, easy, simple to do. Replacing this belt. Factory replacement Stens is a 265-327. It's 1 inch wide, 56 inch long belt. Brand new. Okay, I'm replacing these because the old ones were getting wore out and they were slipping. Trying to load the machine onto the trailer, the belts would slip and it wouldn't want to pull. So we're going to fix that. So just slide a new belt around the hub, slide it back through the bracket onto this pulley, and then just reverse process of everything you've done. Tighten everything back up, put the wheel back on, tighten your lug nuts up. I'm going to go ahead and replace this brake band. So what you need to do now to replace that, so this is where you'll need a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. In order to remove this hub, there is a axle nut behind this cap. So take your flathead, just get behind the cap. You need to go around from different positions, kind of pry it back. Okay, so pop your cap off, set that to the side. There's a cotter pin, so this is where you will need a pair of pliers. Spin that cotter pin back to where it's straight. Just cotter pin going through the axle nut. You need to bend the tabs out straight, so then you can pull the cotter pin out and remove the axle nut. Once you've removed the cotter pin, this is where you'll need a pair of channel locks. This axle nut is not torqued that tight. Just grab it, and it doesn't take much force to break it loose. Okay, so make sure you have the brake adjustment rod disconnected, or really the control rod. That way there's no pressure, there's no braking pressure on this hub. Okay, then slide this hub off, but be careful not to let that bearing fall out onto the ground into the dirt. Just make sure that brake band is not applying any pressure. You may have to kind of pry back on it with a screwdriver, like I'm doing now. Okay, and slide your hub off. Make sure that bearing doesn't fall out. Just set your hub to the side. Okay, so now you can access your brake band. So what you need to do now, in order to remove this, you need to pull that tab off. That's a retaining clip. Then you can pull the whole assembly off and remove the retaining clips on the back side of each pin. So just take a flathead screwdriver, just pry behind it, remove it, set it to the side, then you can pull the whole assembly off. Okay, so now there are actually 3 retaining clips, just 1, 2, and 3. Just do the same thing. Pry back on them with a flathead screwdriver, and then you can replace your brake band. Okay, so once you've removed those 3 retaining clips, this bracket comes off, and then you can just simply slide your brake band off. Make note, I'm not sure if this matters, but just make note, one side is slotted and the other side solid, so just be sure you know which side is which. So here we have our new brake band, nice and shiny, got a full pad on it. So the slotted side was to my right, so I'm just going to put that back there. You may have to expand this band. Okay, just slide it right back on. This bracket, if you can see, that's bent. You want the side bending out to go flat down against the band. Okay, so once you've got that on, reinstall your retaining clips. The largest of the 3 goes on the top pivot point. Make sure they're tight. Okay. So when you're reinstalling this, the longer end of the shaft goes on to the mower. But before I reinstall this, I'm going to grease this shaft. So just take some lithium grease.
Have a little bit on your finger. Just apply it to the shaft. Don't need a lot, just enough so that it rotates smoothly.
Make sure this rod goes behind your pulley. Okay. And then reinstall the retaining clip on that pivot point. Okay? So we have a retaining clip there, 3 retaining clips on the back side of each of those rods. So now you'll reinstall your hub assembly. So now you need to put the axle nut back on. Okay, so when you retighten this axle nut, you don't want to over tighten it. You just want to tighten it enough to set the preload on the bearing. So get it tight to where you can't spin the hub. And then back it off just a little bit, just so that the hub will spin freely. And then reinstall your cotter pin. Spin the tabs on the cotter pin. This way it won't slide out. Okay. Reinstall your cap. Make sure it's free of any dirt. Okay. So, according to the owner's manual, service manual, your initial adjustment, you should have 1.25 inches from the bottom of the wing nut to the top of the rod. Okay, 1.25. So that's where we're going to set it. So then slide the rod back up, reattach it to this bracket, and do this before you retighten the bracket. Reinstall your cotter pin. Okay, so at this point we have the hub reinstalled, we have the brake bracket reinstalled. Now we're going to install the new belt. So I slide the belt around the hub first, pinch it at the top, slide your belt around the top pulley, and then slide it around the hub. Okay, belt is installed. So now I'm just going to go back around and tighten up these bolts. So now that everything is reinstalled, the hub is on, the new brake band is on, the new belt is on. Gone through and tightened everything down. I'm going to reinstall the wheel. Okay, installation is complete, and now it's just a matter of adjusting. There's rods will need some adjustment, the controls will need some adjustment. So now I need to adjust them so that the T-bar is parallel with the fixed bar, and that there's only 1.25 inches gap between them at full throttle. Okay, so now we are finished. We've got new brake bands, new drive belts, torque the wheels, got everything adjusted. I mentioned before the manual recommends 1.25 inches from the bottom of the wing nut to the top of the rod, but I want to point out that that was not applying near enough braking pressure on this machine. So I have it adjusted, I believe, at 2.5 inches from the bottom of the wing nut to the top of the rod, and I have these adjusted. I forget the length, the measurement. I believe it was 3 inches. I may be wrong on that, but with those adjustments, I now have the proper amount of braking pressure, and I also have the proper gap between my drive bar and my fixed bar. So now we are ready to go. Thank you for watching.